Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know who we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocket here, ain't stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Tell 'em I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself.
Welcome back, kids. Tuesday. Let's get into it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on any fluff. This trend we're seeing in our government today out of Trump, it is continuing, and I just want to get right into it. But I'm going to start with a part of an article from Bill Kristol. Bill Kristol is the former vice president's chief of staff. He was chief of staff under Dan Quayle. He is a conservative. He's a writer. He's a pundit. He's a smart dude. And in this article, this is part of what he wrote. And I love him summing this up like this. I mean, this just really, it crystallizes it for my audience and for anybody who might stumble across the show. I mean, go and look into these things yourself. If you don't want to go back and check out each one of these things as we go down the list, that each one of these things we covered here on the show, if you don't want to check out past shows, go look for yourself. Go do your own research, okay? Go check these things out because these are things that are happening. In this article, Kristol said, in the last week, we are not backsliding on democracy. It is a full march towards dictatorship. Military leaders and intelligence professionals have been purged. Specifically, Jeffrey Krause, the Lieutenant General, DIA director, he was let go because he had the balls to say that that strike in Iran wasn't what we said it was. He was one of the vocal opponents of the assessment of that Iran attack, and he has been fired. Also fired, Nancy LaCour, chief of the Naval Reserve. Why? No real reason. Just gone. Purged. A prominent Trump critic's home has been raided. Just yesterday, we did the show on Bolton. Office, home, raided. Trump's out here saying, I had nothing to do with it. Don't know nothing about it. What, do you have documents? Not that Trump knows anything about documents in your home. Piles of it by his golden commode. Yeah, he knew nothing about it. Bolton's house gets raided. An Epstein cover-up continues as the subpoenaed evidence files that were demanded from the committee, nothing that we haven't seen already in the media and other outlets. Everything that was released was a red herring. Every bit of it was previously public information. Nothing new at all. They lied. They dodged it. Dodged the subpoena. What are you going to do about it? A major corporation was extorted. Lip Bhutan. Remember the curious case of Lip Bhutan? We did that yesterday. The Intel CEO, the CEO of the failing Intel Corporation, has his job threatened, meets with the president, kisses his ass, keeps his job, and now the president has a 10% equity stake in their company. Extorted. Just let us wet our beak a little bit. The American people. Let the American people wet their beak. You can keep your job for now. Universities and media under assault, also reported just yesterday. I gave you the tweets talking about NBC, ABC, fake news, weaponized, all bad news against me, wah, should have their license pulled or at least have to pay exorbitant fees to stay on the most valuable airways. Not my words, Trump's. Calling for their licenses to get pulled because he doesn't like what they're reporting. Okay? National Museum was ordered to rewrite our history. That was all last week. The Smithsonian is under attack. And it's under attack. The guidelines of this attack are Trump's interpretation of American history. His own words. Trump's interpretation of American history is what the Smithsonian is now going to be based off of. He's erasing and rewriting our history. And the effort is going right in lockstep with what we're teaching our kids, especially here in Florida. Redistricting. He talks about the redistricting. Mid-census. just to hold power. Mass deportation, civic intimidation, the suspension of constitutional rights, and almost no Republicans out here saying anything about it. Almost none. Almost none. While they go and they visit the voters in their states in these town halls and get chastised, berated, yelled at in public by the people who voted for them, they are staunch in their defense of Donald Trump and his policies in the face of everything. Reason, hypocrisy, dissent from their voters. They are staunchly in support of Donald Trump. And now you can add another one to the list. As he is continuing to wage war on the Fed. That's what this next story is about. Keep that in context. He is waging war on the Federal Reserve.
Breaking moments ago, Donald Trump just tried to fire Lisa Cook, who is the first black woman to serve on the Federal Reserve Board, quote, effective immediately. In the face of baseless allegations made by the Trump administration, Cook said last week that she had no intention of being bullied and pledged to gather accurate information to answer any legitimate questions and provide the facts. Let's be very clear. Since Donald Trump came back into office, he has tried any way he can to chip away at the Federal Reserve's independence. And this has truly been in an attempt to get to the rock bottom interest rates that he really desires to have, apparently by any means necessary.
So who is Lisa Cook? Trump is calling for her firing. He's calling for it. Who is she? She's the first black woman to serve on the board of governors for the Federal Reserve. Okay, she was initially confirmed in 22, reconfirmed in 23. Her term is till 2038. Okay, that's who she is. And the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, just a quick brush up on the Fed board. It is the central governing body of the Federal Reserve System. It oversees 12 regional reserve banks and guides U.S. monetary policy, okay? And their responsibilities include monetary policy, bank supervision, financial stability, consumer protection, which is dwindling, and payment systems. There are 7 of them when it's fully staffed. They are nominated by the president, and they are confirmed by the Senate. That's who they are, okay? Jerome Powell is their boss, and he has been under fire, okay? This is a war on the Fed. That's what this is. That's what this is. Now, we're going to hear a little bit from some people on this, but I'm going to give you what you need to know about this firing, and I'm putting it in quotations because it's not a real firing yet. He's calling for her firing, okay? He says he's got cause. Right now, that's dubious, and that's the key word here. Cause. Cause is the key.
And the legal flaw here is that statute where Congress has said you can only fire based on cause. What's the legal definition of cause? It's not a tweet.
It's not a tweet
by a Trump partisan. Can you imagine if a tweet could be the basis for breaking the law? All you need to do is ask, you want to get rid of somebody, tweet. Cause has to be proof that the law has been broken.
Okay. He's getting a little ahead of me, though, as far as what's going to constitute cause. Now, he's not completely right. He's saying there, the cause that Trump is talking about is his tweets. Now, Trump has tweeted. He tweeted a picture of Lisa Cook with a big X, red X through it, called her a fraudster, among other things. Okay? But the real cause here is a case brought by the FHFA, okay? The Federal Housing Finance Agency. And we have talked about Bill Polt, the head of that agency, before, because we had to talk about him when we talked about exactly similar charges being brought against Adam Schiff. And then we talked about it again when he brought up charges against Letitia James. This is a pattern of behavior out of a weaponized, of all things, FHFA, Bill Polt. Now, Bill Polt has sent a letter to our DOJ saying you need to investigate Miss Lisa Cook. She purchased a home in Michigan, and in the loan, she marked it as her primary residence. Why do that? Because you get a little bit of a better deal on your primary residence loan. So she marked that is her primary residence in Michigan. Then 2 weeks later, she bought a condo in Atlanta, also marked as her primary residence. The exact same thing that they accused Adam Schiff of doing. We haven't heard a lot about that Adam Schiff case. Now, Schiff's lawyer and Schiff at the time said this is completely baseless and will be going nowhere, and it looks like that might be true. Now, I don't know if she did what she is accused of doing, but that is the cause that they are going with. That's the cause they are going with. Now, she has not been actually fired. She's not been actually fired. She said President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under the law and he has no authority to do so. I will not resign. I will not resign. And there are people who are going to come out, of course, in defense of every single thing that this man does. You can definitely always turn to Skeletor in support of any Trump policy. Rick Scott, what did he have to say about this? Trump is doing the right thing to hold people accountable, protect American families, and restore trust in the Fed. Protect American families. That's Rick Scott. Elizabeth Warren had something to say about it. Authoritarian power grab that blatantly violates the Federal Reserve Act. Any court that follows the law will overturn this. Now, here's the thing. This is an attack on the Fed board. This is a direct attack. Okay? Two current Fed governors, Michelle Bowman and Christopher Waller, they both were nominated to the Fed board during Trump's first term. That's two. Okay? Remember, there's 7 that sits on this board. 4 for a majority on the Fed board. 2 of them, like I said, Bowman and Waller, Trump appointees. Okay? Trump this month nominated economic advisor Stephen Miran. Miran, he is going to fill the seat vacated by a Biden appointee, Adriana Kugler. She's gone. Miran is awaiting confirmation by the Senate, which he will receive. That's 3. Miran makes 3. Now, just like that, his lackey, Bill Polt, out of the FHFA, and by the way, Bill Polt's letter to the DOJ is highly irregular because it's the Inspector General of the FHFA who sends such letters to the DOJ. John Joe Allen is his name. He's the one tasked with bringing up such a case to take to the DOJ. That's his job, not Bill Polt's. Never has been the director's job. But here he is for a third time, right on time, attacking Lisa Cook, trying to get her fired. That would be 4. Trump's got plenty of time to appoint one more governor. That would be 4. That's a majority. Think about that. That's a majority on the Fed board. That's the end game. On its surface, on its face, you want to say, oh, Trump's attacking a minority in power again. And yes, he is, just like the Naval Reserve Admiral. I didn't mention she was a black female? Gone. Now, another black female in a position of power? Gone. That's on its surface. It's much more nefarious than that. We have seen his dissension over how Jerome Powell has run the Fed for a long time now, calling for lower interest rates, attacking Fed's competency, attacking his political bias. They're contentious on camera. They argue, and on camera they argue. This is an attack on the Fed, and it might be a successful one. She says she's not stepping down. She said she won't resign. Trump is calling for her firing. So where does this go next? We're going to get to that.
It's time for a quick break. Then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because democracy doesn't defend itself.
This is just delicious. Lutnick's out here on TV just moments ago, actually saying, in response to Lisa Cook saying that she won't resign, he appropriated what I guess he thought was like a black voice. I'm cringing just saying it. Please go check it out. We didn't have time to pull it. It just happened a little bit ago. And he mocked her saying, "I'm not going anywhere." Then went on to say, "The crook always stands his ground and doesn't go anywhere." A crook always says, "I'm not going anywhere." That is exactly the opposite. It's always the innocent people who say, "I'm not giving in. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm not going anywhere. I haven't done anything wrong." It's the exact opposite. But listen, if Lutnick, one of Trump's close guys, tells you something, then that's what you go to the water cooler with, right? Nice little piece for you. Nice little quip for you to arm yourself with. So, we get to the question of, can he do this? All right, that's the question. Can he do this? Now, she says, "I'm not going anywhere," and she plans to sue. Where she's going to sue, we don't know yet. That hasn't been announced yet. But wherever she sues, a judge there will determine whether there was cause for her firing, whether her suit has merit. And if that judge rules favorably, then she will keep her job. For now. Where does it go from there? Where does it go from there? It would most surely end up at the Supreme Court. Okay? It would end up at the Supreme Court. Now, her being on the Fed board presents a very unique legal eventuality. There has been a 90-year-old Supreme Court precedent that shields Fed board governors from politicization, especially in terms of firing, because they have to make tough decisions. Sometimes they have to make decisions whose effects aren't clear until later on down the road. Sometimes they have to make the tough decision now for the betterment of our economy later. That's what they do. Those are the decisions that they make. And sometimes when they make a decision on the now that hurts, it hurts the president, the optics, his policy, whatever. President doesn't like it, wants it, one of them removed. Well, that precedent I mentioned was in 1935, Humphrey's executor versus the United States. And the justices at that time, Supreme Court justices at that time, protected the Federal Trade Commission, saying they could be removed only for inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance in office. Malfeasance in office. That could get dicey. That could get dicey. And even after this decision, FDR went and tried to fire William Humphrey, a board governor. And the Supreme Court bounced it right back. This firing, unlawful. They protected him. They protected him. Will they do that this time? Will they protect Lisa Cook? That's the question. It's murky. It's dicey, as is everything we thought we could hold true to the Supreme Court before now. But now, dicey. Real dicey. Which way will the wind blow with this Supreme Court on this issue? In 2020, there was an opinion by Justice John Roberts, the Chief Justice John Roberts, okay? And he seemed to lay the groundwork for overruling the Humphreys executor versus United States ruling. He wrote, "In our constitutional system, the executive power belongs to the president, and that power generally includes the ability to supervise and remove the agents who wield executive power in his stead. Okay, and since then, they have let Trump fire the Merit Systems Protection Board, the National Labor Relations Board, and the Consumer Product Safety Commission, all without cause. The Supreme Court did not step in any of those firings. And in one of the rulings, in an unsigned majority, The opinion said that Mr. Trump could remove officials who exercise power on his behalf because the Constitution vests the executive power in the president. Okay. All right. Well, we are going to have to find out if the Fed is any different. In the past, it has been different every time. Even this Supreme Court may find this firing untenable. They may. They said, quote, the Federal Reserve is a uniquely structured quasi-private entity that follows in the distinct historical tradition of the first and second banks of the United States. Distinct. Distinct. Will Lisa Cook be spared by this Supreme Court? I have my doubts, and this could get real dangerous. If they will go along with this firing, you better believe there will be no one safe at any level of the government at all, period, if this goes down. So we have to wait. We have to wait and find out where she sues for her job, what that ruling is, and how quickly the Supreme Court will pick it up. We're going to have to wait. You want to hear Trump unhinged? You want to hear Trump going absolutely bat crap crazy? I mean, this dude was on one. Yes, Scotty.
He was making me actually crazy yesterday, and I listen to a lot of Trump. Just so everybody understands this, that I gotta vet all these clips. And yesterday, he did 3 different gaggles, pressers, whatever, and man, he was extra unhinged. And I don't know if you can see it in any of these clips, but pay attention to his hand. He's got a little bruising going on there.
Yeah,
and he's high. If you watch during some of these videos Brett's about to play, you're gonna see he a few times he lifts and he's like, oh, it's a quick cover up. It's
on his mind, and there has been rumblings about that, Scott. I'm glad you brought that up. There has been rumblings about his health lately. It's becoming a thing that they're going to have to answer questions about. But that's his physical health. We know his mental health has been in decline. Would you like to see some evidence of it? Oh, God. Here we go. Hold on to your butts.
As you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. And they don't
Listen to this guy.
it.
Listen.
And they say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
What?
I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person.
So, on one hand, when Trump says a lot of people are saying, that means I'm saying. That is a direct translation. When Trump says a lot of people are saying they want a dictator, that means I'm saying I want to be dictator. But on the other hand, it's kind of like we talked about last week. If the majority of the voters in this country want a dictator and vote for somebody who's going to be a dictator, then guess what? We're a dictatorship.
He's saying it like he's putting it out there, like he's sending it out to the ether. You know, a lot of people are saying, dictator, it'd be pretty cool, man.
I'm hearing things.
It's good things. And now, I'm sure rumblings will be like, I don't like dictators, but dictator Trump sure would be cool.
Oh yeah, dude.
So he's putting it like it's like he's just testing the waters. He's dropping,
and let social media, let my right-wing pundits, let the trolls that go on podcasts for me, let TikTok do its thing. Let's see where this goes. Let's. Yeah, a little breadcrumbs, a little litmus test on me as a dictator. Let's put it out in the ether, like Scott said. Unreal. Many people say. Many people say. Let's continue.
You saw the World Cup was here the other day.
Oh my! What?
And come to think of it, there's your trophy for the World Cup. In fact, it's solid gold. That's actually solid gold. So heavy that some of the people in this room wouldn't be able to lift it up. I think what I'm going to do is place it right above the angel, right over there. That's solid gold, too. We're going to put it right up there. Look at that. There's a solid gold trophy. They know how to get to me.
It's not solid gold.
I like the angel better, to be honest with you. So,
it's not solid gold. It's not solid gold. He just talks. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how did the FIFA trophy get to Trump's office? Well, everybody knows you come and you kiss Trump's ass. That's what you do. You want to see how the trophy ended up in his office?
Only the FIFA president presidents of countries, and then those who win can touch it, because it's for winners only. And since you are a winner, of course, you can as well touch it. It's pretty heavy. Yeah. It's the winner trophy. The last one who lifted that is Lionel Messi of Argentina. And here it is in the Oval Office in the White House.
Can I keep it?
For you.
There it is.
Well, you can keep it until you walk up.
We're not giving it back. That's serious.
It fits well.
That goes very well on the wall right over there. We'll put it right below the angels.
It fits well here, I think.
That's beautiful, yeah.
You can keep it until we have to give it to the next winner.
That's fine.
There it is. Can I keep it?
Gold.
Because I'm not giving it back. That's Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, who himself has been, let's just say, allegations of misconduct at his position, to put it very lightly, without doing a whole show deep dive into that guy. So he says, sure, Mr. President, you can hold it till the next winner, I guess. And Don's already like, yeah, I guess is right. And there it was. Yeah, he came to visit the Don with his shiny trophy, and the Don kept it. All right, so let's shift gears. Let's go total North Korean vibes. All right, I want you to shift gears a little bit. What would the United States as a hermit dictatorship look and sound like? We've got footage.
There's no auto pen that can do that, right? Look at that, Pam. Is that a good signature? Seriously, is that a good signature? Who can write like that? Nobody. I don't know. That's the other thing. I assume we're looking at the whole auto pen scam. Sir. Because the person that ran it said he spoke to it briefly twice.
That's the best. That's the best signature ever, Don. No signature has ever been a signature like your signature, dear leader. The flowers sprout up when he smiles, and it rains when he cries. Don Trump, your dear leader. And I mean, then he just gets completely unhinged.
Where they respect your president to a level that they jokingly call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe.
Nobody does
I like
that.
those people. They're good
Nobody
people.
calls you
They're
the
great
president
leaders.
of Europe.
And we've never had a case where 7 plus really 28, essentially 38 countries were represented here the other day.
Eyes,
38
making up numbers.
European countries were represented. European and other countries were represented. And
it's just tiny, and he's kind of cocked up in his tiny dim eyes, and he's just like making crap up. Just crap is just coming out of his. You want to see North Korea? You want to see North Korea? There you go. And that is, for the people who are listening on the podcast, that is a gigantic poster. What is that at the Bureau of Labor, one of the Bureau of Labor buildings? A gigantic, it looks like, what, 3-story tall picture of Trump on the side of a federal building? Labor Department headquarters. Thank you, Scotty. They call me the president of Europe. Who? Give me one person in Europe that calls you the president of Europe. I'll settle for anybody. One person in the continent. Come on. I mean, South Park is nailing it. They're nailing it right now. This guy he's full tin pot, baby.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett Breaks Things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
So there was one other thing Bill Kristol didn't mention in his article, by the way. I had to add to that little list, waging war on the Fed. And now on that list, you could add creation of a personal army. That's right. We talked about it. We joked that the National Guard was acting as his personal army. No, we missed. We were a little left of center on that. We just had to give him a little more time. Now he's actually creating his personal army.
This is just one more example of the use of executive authority the president has been exerting since he took office, but particularly over the last several weeks in terms of federal law enforcement. But it's the specialized units of the National Guard. The president signed an executive order today, one of many in the Oval Office, clearly wanting to keep the focus on law and order issues to order his defense secretary to create this specialized unit to be ready to go in cities across the country. But it's very vague in terms of what they would be used for. Of course, the National Guard is called up all the time to help out and assist, but it's done by the state's governors. It's not done by the President of the United States. So that is the big difference here. But there's also been a big blurring of the lines of the law enforcement activities and functions as well as the National Guard functions. They have historically been very, very different. States' rights, of course, also a key point of Republican orthodoxy, usually not mentioned at all today.
Not mentioned at all. No. This is not smaller government, Republicans. This is not smaller government. This isn't hands-off government. You are not more free. Okay, you're not more free. Yeah, this executive order is two-part. One, Hegseth is directed to have the standing National Guard now trained to handle civil disturbances. So when he decides to send them out, he doesn't want to hear anymore that this isn't their job or they're not trained to do this type of work. He doesn't want to hear that anymore. He wants Hegseth to have them ready to be able to execute civil disturbance suppression, detain, physically handle, whatever that may mean to Pete Hegseth. And the second part, now he has to create, and this is great. I mean, this dude is a freaking 12-year-old. He has to create the Domestic Civil Disturbance Quick Reaction Force. And don't bother, there is not some clever acronym in there. They're not that clever to call it something where you could have a real short, tight, neat acronym. Nope. It's the Domestic Civil Disturbance Quick Reaction Force. It's going to be about 600 troops. Okay? 300 are going to be stationed in Alabama, and 300 are going to be stationed in Arizona. And they're going to be ready to be deployed within an hour to any state that falls under their purview. Right now. Handle it. Trump's personal army. Funded by us. Funded by the Department of Defense. Directed by Pete Hegseth, one of the most unqualified officials at any level in the history of our government. Pete Hegseth. He's in charge. He's definitely going to make sure that the training involved in this is going to adhere to civil liberties, I'm sure. Just like Tom Holman does. Even though he has no idea what those are. No clue. No clue. One of the places that he's going to be directing this at, he says, maybe Chicago. We're going to hear from Pritzker a little later. But we told you about the letter Pam Bondi sent to 32 blue state officials, governors, mayors. Get in line or else. This is the or else. This is it. Executive order. Bang. Done. All Obama did was sign executive orders. They should be banned. They should be outlawed. Executive orders should be unconstitutional. Remember that, Donald Trump? He doesn't. Another executive order. Boom. Greatest signature ever, Don. Well done, sir. This just happens. Just going to happen.
Are you prepared to order National Guard troops, though, into American cities if those governors don't request the federal deployment?
I am, but I also think that, look, Chicago, everybody knows how bad it is. Everybody standing there knows. We know. You don't have to be doing any studies. They should be saying, please come in. Pritzker should be saying that. You know, I did a favor for Christy Whitmer. A good.
We can only guess he's talking about Gretchen Whitmer. Who's he talking about? Who's? Yeah.
Not former New Jersey governor. He wasn't talking.
Oh, is he talking about Chris?
No, Christine Whitman.
Oh, Christine Whitman. Okay, there you go.
He's obviously talking about Whitmer.
Oh, okay.
It's so confusing.
He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Listen. Okay, Trump. You want to bring it up. You see, the only way he can bring troops into Chicago is if their governor, JB Pritzker, requests the help, unless he declares an emergency, which is why he's starting to characterize the situation in Chicago as an emergency. Okay, since you brought it up, Don, let's talk about crime rates. Let's talk about crime rates, Don. 13 of the 20 U.S. cities with the highest murder rate were in Republican-run states. Now, it is important to understand that even cities in red states, large cities in red states, a lot of times they have a Democratic mayor. That's a thing, okay? So there are a lot of times at odds, but none of these Republican-led states are getting threatened with federalization in their cities. None of them. Even though 13 of the 20 cities with the highest murder rate are Republican-run. 8 of the top 10 cities with the highest murder rates, with a population of at least 100,000, they are Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee, Ohio, Louisiana. This is all great reporting by Axios, by the way. Jackson, Mississippi had the nation's highest homicide rate. And let's just take a look at some of these cities. Let's take a look at some of these cities real quick. Jackson, Birmingham, St. Louis, Memphis, 1 through 4, highest homicide rates. Red. Baltimore, Detroit come in at 5 and 6, blue states. Then Cleveland, Dayton, Kansas City, Shreveport. And Shreveport has Republican-led city-level government, Republican mayor, council, that whole deal. Then Washington coming in at 11. Richmond, Virginia, then Milwaukee, and then South Fulton, Georgia, Cincinnati, Louisville, Indianapolis, then Oakland, Albuquerque, and Montgomery. Hey, Scott, are we sure we got the right info? Because I could have sworn there was an emergency.
You forgot Chicago. Check again.
Nope, not on the list. How about that? Chicago, not on the list. Top 20. But it's an emergency, right? Not on the list. In America, overall crime is down. Year end. Year over year. Last 4 or 5 years, crime has been down. Boom. Crime has been down in Baltimore, year over year. D.C., year over year. Chicago, year over year. Crime, in general, is decreasing. It is decreasing across the board. It is far from an emergency. Far from an emergency. Okay? Adam Kinzinger, we all like Adam. Everybody here, I know the fans of my show, I like Adam Kinzinger. One of the few brave Republicans who, for a while now, has seen the writing on the wall and spoke the truth about it. That he for a while was power speaking truth to power. Now he's over here, in plain clothes at his house speaking truth to power, but he's still speaking it.
That the right and the left agree on. The Second Amendment, there may be disagreement in terms of the right to keep and bear arms individually, but the Second Amendment also guarantees the right of a state to have a militia. That militia, a well-regulated militia, was put in the Second Amendment to guard against federal tyranny. Joseph Story was an early Supreme Court member, and he said the same thing, that this is necessary to guard against tyranny. Everybody knows this. The National Guard has been viewed as the militia of a state. The National Guard can be used by a president for things like war. But if a National Guard can be activated against the wishes of the people of the state and the governor to be used against that very state, how in the world is that a militia? It's not. And it violates the spirit of the Second Amendment. This needs to be challenged all over the place. If Donald Trump can federalize a militia of a state to use against that state, he is in clear violation of the Second Amendment. Clear violation. So if you actually like the Constitution and you're not just somebody that uses it as a prop, this should make you outraged. And this is what Donald Trump is doing, a clear violation of the U.S. Constitution.
Okay, so how many Trump supporters have we heard from that like to cite the Dems are trying to take my gun away? And the next thing they mention to you is the Second Amendment. Well, here's Adam Kinzinger saying, hey, He's crapping on the Second Amendment. Now what? One of the tenets of the Constitution that you hold the dearest is now being violated by this man. He's making you a socialist. He's crapping on the Second Amendment. Republicans, are you paying attention? You used to like smaller government. Now he's created his own personal army. Hello? Honestly. Look, we started the show laying it out for you. Now he's creating his own personal army using an executive order that he railed against just a handful of years ago. He's a hypocrite and an authoritarian. There's no two ways about it.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things, pushing back, speaking up, and holding the line.
You saw the World Cup was here the other day, and come to think of it, there's your trophy for the World Cup. In fact, it's solid gold. That's actually solid gold, so heavy that some of the people in this room wouldn't be able to lift it up. I think what I'm going to do is place it right above the angel, right over there. That's solid gold, too. We're going to put it right up there. Look at that. There's a solid gold trophy. They know how to get to me, you know. I like the angel better, to be honest with you. So we're going to sign, and then we'll take a few questions, and we'll tell you how good a job we're doing. We want to go from here to other places, but I was telling some of the people that in a certain way, you really want to be asked to go. You know, I hate to barge in on a city and then be treated horribly by corrupt politicians and bad politicians, like a guy like Pritzker. He ought to spend more time in the gym, actually. This guy is a disaster. Gavin Newsom's a disaster. When we went, we saved Los Angeles. You wouldn't have been able to have the Olympics in Los Angeles. You're barely able to have it now. They did lose 25,000 houses to a fire that should have never occurred because they didn't let the water come down from the Pacific Northwest, which you guys don't want to write about. I had to break into the water supply to let the water down. And even now,
does he even know what he's talking about anymore?
We can have much more. It's less than half of what should be coming in. I don't know. They have a political thing about it. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That was quintessential Donald Trump. He went from the gold trophy to JB Pritzker's weight to fires in Los Angeles to a magical water supply that the press isn't talking about. No, he's fine. No problems there. He's perfectly fine. So he's getting into it with JB Pritzker. He said at one point he called Chicago a disaster, right? And so in this one interview, he called one of these pressers. He called Chicago a disaster, and then said, "But I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to let it be a disaster." And then literally a minute later, in the same breath almost, he said, "You know what? Maybe we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We should do it. We should go in. We should do it." It's like watching the evolution of a dictator right before our eyes. Like, you remember in fourth grade science, they'd show you those videos of a chrysalis going into a butterfly, like the metamorphosis into a butterfly. Like, we're just watching him metamorphosize into a more rounded dictator, a more beautiful dictator, a more beautiful leader who has the most beautiful signature. So he says JB Pritzker needs to lose some weight. JB Pritzker gets wind of that. Oh, okay. So I don't know why that audio didn't play. That sucks. But Pritzker basically is like, takes one to know one, dude. Like, have you seen yourself lately? Like, that's crazy. I mean, Mr. Big Mac, Mr. 5 Big Macs a day has the balls to call somebody else overweight, out of shape, fat. That's crazy. It's insane. It's insane. Pritzker said, if it sounds to you like I'm an alarmist, that's because I'm ringing an alarm. One that I hope every person listening will heed, both here in Illinois and across the country. Okay, Pritzker had a lot to say. Hopefully these will play.
Earlier today in the Oval Office, Donald Trump looked at the assembled cameras and asked for me personally to say, "Mr. President, can you do us the honor of protecting our city?" Instead, I say, "Mr. President, do not come to Chicago." You are neither wanted here nor needed here. Your remarks about this effort over the last several weeks have betrayed a continuing slip in your mental faculties and are not fit for the auspicious office that you occupy. Most alarming, you seem to lack any appropriate concern as our commander-in-chief for the members of the military that you would so callously deploy as pawns in your ever more alarming grabs for power.
There it is. First of all, I told you we were going to hear from JB Pritzker once Pam Bondi sent that letter out. I said, we're going to hear from a lot of people, but I can't wait to hear from JB Pritzker. And now let's just marinate in it. Let's marinate in the glow that is JB Pritzker's vibes. This dude, he nailed it. He nailed it. And this is something that's not being talked about enough. He nailed it. What about the troops? What about the troops and what about the police? These troops did not sign up for this. They did not sign up for this. They signed up to defend America. They did not sign up to crack the heads of the citizens of that country. This is not what they signed up for. And what about the Back the Blue crowd? What does this whole movement say about the policing in these cities? That they're simply not good enough? I would say that's the least of the unspoken accusations being leveled at the police departments in these blue states right now. Where are the people defending the police officers who do a great job across the country, risk their lives to make sure that a federalization of their department is not necessary, to make sure that the dictator in charge does not get an opportunity to create his own army? They work hard. Their entire lives they've worked hard to do the right thing for these cities. Yes, there's bad apples. There's bad apples everywhere. But what happened to the Back the Blue crowd to come out here and say these things? They're silent. They're silent. Pritzker nailed it.
What President Trump is doing is unprecedented and unwarranted. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It is un-American. No one from the White House or the executive branch has reached out to me or to the mayor. No one has reached out to our staffs. No effort has been made to coordinate or to ask for our assistance in identifying any actions that might be helpful to us. Local law enforcement has not been contacted. We have made no requests for federal intervention. None. We found out what Donald Trump was planning the same way that all of you did. We read a story in the Washington Post.
Oh, man.
If this was really about fighting crime and making the streets safe, what possible justification could the White House have for planning such an exceptional action without any conversations or consultations with the governor, the mayor, or the police?
He's just going to do what he has been doing. He's going to sign an executive order, declare your city an emergency, and do what he wants. We watched him do it twice already. There should be zero doubts in anybody's mind where this is going. This is a very distinct playbook written by the Heritage Foundation that Donald Trump is running. And it's working. Sorry. I can't, this can't be the first time you've heard anybody say that from the left. It's working. He's getting away with it. They challenged it in California. Supreme Court upheld his decision to send the National Guard in. Now, because of the Home Rule Act, there is no challenge from D.C. That's why they were that next target. He's 2 for 2. Chicago, you're next. You're next. I expect for him to declare an emergency in Chicago in the next week or so. Declare it an emergency. He's going to point to numbers. He's going to point to some random, exceptional, newsworthy, violent crime. And he's going to point to the victims in that city. And he's going to declare a national emergency. Is he going to wait for this quick reaction force? Maybe. Is he going to wait for Pete Hegseth to, get National Guard troops ready to police cities? Is he going to wait for that? Maybe. We'll see, but it's coming. It's coming. Blue states, your cities are an emergency. Just get comfortable with it. And you're going to be able to challenge it. And it's going to get shot down by the Supreme Court. And we're going to watch this play out. I hate to speak in such definitive terms, but it's not like I'm prognosticating here. I'm watching it happen. You are watching it happen. You're watching it. We're watching this happen. And this show is especially for the left to be informed and up to date and hear the things that the people involved are saying, because the far right, this show is making them so happy. Firing of a black woman in a position of power, being insane over a gold trophy, talking about going into Chicago with his own personal army. You think they don't get excited about a quick reaction force? Are you kidding me? There's going to be t-shirts made up. They're going to have action figures. You kidding me? It's going to be the biggest thing since the Duke boys. Quick reaction force. And so don't think that this is the type of thing that you can bring up to MAGA and have them realize the error of their ways. No. This is the thing they salivate over. This is the thing that keeps them up at night in expectation and glee, too much excitement. I mean, man, they're all about it. That's why I said with that earlier clip, some people are saying they want a dictator. Some people are saying they want a dictator. Some MAGA are saying we want Trump as the dictator of the United States. Hard stop. No equivocation. Brandon Johnson, he's the mayor of Chicago. He had some things to say.
To what? Arrest 9 people in D.C.? That clearly he's demonstrated that he doesn't have a level of consciousness to understand what it takes to run cities, not to mention an entire country. And so, look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action. But the people of this city are accustomed to rising up against tyranny. And if that's necessary, I believe that the people of Chicago will stand firm alongside of me as I work every single day to protect the people of this city. The city of Chicago, one of the most diverse economies in the world, right? Again, a city that has been, founded and established on the values of working people. We're not going to surrender our humanity to this tyrant. I can tell you this, the city of Chicago has a long history of standing up against tyranny, resisting those who wish to undermine the interests of working people. We're not going to back down. We're not going to cower. We're not going to bend. We're not going to break. We are Chicago. We are the soul of America, and we will maintain that posture from now until.
So there's a very clear dichotomy in power in this country now. You either are in lockstep or at least complicit with Trump's policy and any decisions he makes, or you are now in the position that JB Pritzker and Brandon Johnson are in, dissenting. There is no fealty there. There is no reverence there. They do not recognize Trump as their dear leader. They are in a position of power, and they are very clearly saying to you, no. A dictatorship is not acceptable in our city, and it's not acceptable in our state. And they're going to fight it. Gavin Newsom, you know where he stands. He has been clear. He's fighting a different fight, right? As we track the redistricting story. There are people coming out, and they are forced into a very clear position. They are the ones that are voicing dissent to a growing dictatorship. Over history, that story does not end well for the dissenters. How bad is this going to get? Everything under their watch is being weaponized as they create a weaponization czar. Bizarro world. It's like a fever dream.
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back tomorrow to break it all down.